The 1940s was a decade full of turbulence for Bengal, when the region witnessed a man-made famine resulting in death of more than 3 million Bengalis, followed by the horrific communal riots and finally the partition of India. Regarded as one of the largest refugee crises in the history, it involved the division of the two provinces, Punjab and Bengal, along the religious lines, resulting in death of 2 million people and displacing around 20 million. All of these first-hand experiences deeply scarred Ritwik Ghatak for life, which is apparent from his filmography that mostly revolves around the tragedy of partition and its aftermath, evoking the sense of uprootedness, exile, and unbelongingness. Ghatak himself arrived in Calcutta as a refugee. Initially starting off as a writer in his early 20s, he penned several short stories, but then he came across a play based on the Bengal famine, written by Bijon Bhattacharya and staged by the Indian People's Theatre Association. Ghatak was greatly impressed by the immediate effect of plays on the audience. Thus, he joined the Indian People's Theatre Association, which was the cultural wing of Communist Party of India, and began to not only write plays but also direct and act in them. But soon he noticed the far reaching potential of films as a medium. He made his first film, Nagarik, in 1952, but sadly it didn't get a release during his lifetime. Nonetheless, the film contains all the main ingredients of a quintessential Ghatak film. It is brechtian and melodramatic. No, melodramatic doesn't mean soap opera dramatic, but a form of heightened expression in which film elements are pitched at a higher level than the realist norm, an element which Ghatak in no way considered inferior to realism. And brechtian is a term coined after a German playwright who wanted his audiences to adopt a critical perspective in order to recognize social injustice, exploitation, and to be moved to go forth from the theatre and effect change in the world outside. This is apparent in Ghatak's films where the pain of the partition is poignant among the protagonists, the refugees suffering from the loss of homeland and livelihood. But his first and only well-received film, Meghe arrived 8 years later in 1960. Considered as the first film in his much acclaimed Partition trilogy, it centers around a refugee family that has settled in the outskirts of Calcutta. The family's perpetual state of poverty after having left their homeland forms the narrative of the film. In order to sustain the family, the eldest daughter Nita becomes the breadwinner, since her father is unable to make a living. As the financial situation worsens, she starts working full time, giving up on her graduate studies while her family merely feeds off her. Eventually, she gives up on her love, her dreams, and everything for the family that gives up on her at the end when she is suffering from tuberculosis. Through Nita's struggles, the film also highlights what several feminist scholars have described as the paradoxical nature of the partition. Although the partition made women victims of extreme violence and oppression, but the post-partition Bengal also witnessed women heading out to work in offices and become bread earners for their families. It offered them an opportunity to emerge as a new identity with more independence and self-sufficiency. Another interesting aspect of the film is Ghatak's references to Hindu mythology, unlike other filmmakers with communist leanings. Apart from the sea of references in Meghe through images, music, and motifs, we also learn early in the film that Nita was born on Jagadhatri Day, implying that she is modeled after the benevolent mother goddess, the universal sustainer. Other than that, film scholar Ira Bhaskar describes in her essay how Nita's mother embodies the malevolent goddess Kali who feeds upon life to sustain life. References to mythology are also present in the second film of the Partition trilogy. Komal Gandhar, released in 1961, the film deals with the lamentations of victims of partition, agonized with the memories of famine and riots. The two orphan protagonists perfectly portray the emotions of people who have lost their home and their family. But this is the most hopeful of the other two movies in the trilogy. The final film in the trilogy is Subarnarekha. Being one of the most complex films of Ghatak, it is also one of the rare films from that era with a prominent Dalit character. In the film, although the refugees are struggling to survive, yet they don't refrain from practicing caste based discrimination in their camps. In fact, the obsession with caste purity results in a tragic turn later in the film. Another aspect of caste that is presented in the film is when Ishwar Chakraborty, a Brahmin refugee, easily lands on a well-paying job through his caste network, whereas the Dalit Abhiram, despite of an honors degree, has to work as a driver in order to survive. The film also posits two contrasting pictures of post-partition India, where on one hand there are refugees struggling to survive, and on the other is a nation succumbing to modern decadence. Despite of its heart-rending climax that can put anyone in the state of despair, the film ends on a positive note, with a hope for life and happiness by overcoming the tragic past.
মাঝি তোর নাম জানি